shit's in the safe. Got me a spot out the way. Nigga just tryna be safe.
Let's get to sports talk.
Conversation, but we have to address it. Is first of all, we have to say that right now, Dak doesn't deserve what he was asking for. Now, that obviously sounds different from my position at the beginning of the season, because my mentality is coming into the season, particularly when Carson Wentz and Jared Goff got their money, Dak Prescott deserved his money. He's been reliable. He hasn't missed a game. He's been a leader. He's been class personified. He's been all of those things. But here's where it gets interesting. We have to first two things that are very, very important to really compartmentalize. One, what qualifies or classifies the term his money? Okay? His money is what Dak Prescott directly wants, because he wants to set the market. Okay? So no, you don't deserve that after what we're seeing. But also, it brings in, dare I say, his ego.
Big games. That was a big game against Buffalo. You came up little again. If you want Jerry Jones to pay you, you gotta play good in the big moments. You can't have these type of hiccups in these games. If you were to beat this team, you will have a case. Even though you're leading all quarterbacks and QBRs. But it's just the big time moments when he come up little. When he play against teams that they should beat, that's when he dominate. When he play against teams above 500, he come up short. If you want to get paid $40 million a year, you have to play good in the moments against good teams and moments, a prime time moment. You can't come up short all the time and then want to have an argument about being the highest paid quarterback. You got to show Jerry Jones that you deserve that money.
We've never questioned that, because he's such a classy dude. He's conducted himself with just ultra professionalism and what have you. We've never scaled it back, because we want to talk about Jerry Jones' ego. We want to talk about how dare you, Ezekiel Elliott, hold out and demand what you demand when you were acting like a nincompoop, you know, in a couple of situations that put Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys organization in a compromising position. Well, we've talked about the ego with everybody else, and now I got to sit here and say, wait a minute, let's take a moment and pause for a second and ask ourselves about Dak Prescott's ego. You want to hold out. Why? Because I never heard Jerry Jones or Stephen Jones intimate they wouldn't give him Carson Wentz money. I never heard them intimate they wouldn't give him Jared Goff money. What they said was they're not.
They just want to see what he's going to do on the field when the moments show him that I deserve this money. They just waiting on seeing what he's going to do against top teams before they pay him that money. And so far, he has shown that he could come up short. At some point, you're going to have to showcase that you could beat these top teams. Buffalo's a top team this year. They sit at 9-3 this year. That was another big time team to prove that you deserve that money. But you came up little again. You can't say you want this money and you can't beat the good teams. Do the same performance as you play against these teams that's not over 500.
Going to let him set the market. They're not going to allow him to be Russell Wilson. They're not going to allow him to be, Aaron Rodgers. That's what they said. And so if you're Dak Prescott and you still haven't signed a contract, don't get me wrong, Max, I remember your point from months ago. Do we know how much money has actually been guaranteed to him? I understand the specter of that hovering over us, and we don't know those particulars, those details. But what I'm saying is take into account, chances are you could get Carson Wentz money, you could get Jared Goff money, and you yourself felt you were deserving of this. Now we've gotten to a point where we're asking the question, who do you think you are? Have you not seen your record? Have you not seen your struggles? And we're watching him, and this is a guy right here. He threw for 463 yards against Green Bay. He threw for 397 yards in the loss against Minnesota. He threw for 355 yards yesterday. We've seen numbers. What we haven't seen is it produce wins against quality teams. And if we're talking about a quarterback getting paid, I still think he deserves as much as Carson Wentz.
He deserves it. But he putting up the numbers, but they have to turn into wins at points. You can put all of them up, but is they going to produce wins? Because I think he deserved that money, but he have to play good against good teams. He have to put wins on the board when he play teams that's already in the playoffs. Because once you get that money, that means you're going to have to go on that field and perform like they paid you. They ain't going to give it to you right now because they just looking at your performance right now. They know you putting up the numbers, but they want you to win against these quality teams.
I still think he deserves as much as Jared Goff. But the conversations about you potentially setting the market are over. And I think that Dak Prescott needs to sign this contract quick, fast, and in a hurry because, damn, with the way things are going, who the hell knows what's going to happen to you next?
Yeah, I think, unfortunately, quarterbacks, when you're talking about the era that we're talking about with him as far as money is concerned, although I hate quarterback wins as a statistic and as a way to try and judge how much you should pay a quarterback, because, look, there's plenty of games like, for instance, Aaron Rodgers has lost that had nothing to do with him, although because he played at another worldly level. Does that mean all of a sudden that he should take a pay cut because they lost the football game because he did everything he was supposed to do?
Like somebody lost his own beat on him. Like that game against Buffalo. His line allowed him to get pressure, allowed him to get stress sack. Like, you can't really blame everything on him, but they gonna target him because what he's asking for. That's when he gotta show up and show him why he asking for this money.
Exactly. So I don't like that statistic, but I do understand this as far as what you're saying, Stephen A., about what is Dak's expectation? Does he really feel as though he can transcend and overcome things that some of the great quarterbacks can overcome and still produce at a level that is on par with some of the greats? Does he still think that? Because I think our eyes tell us, and what the Dallas Cowboys are putting on film is telling us, no, he can't. And I would venture to say this, that Dallas's management knows that he can't either. They need to play a certain way. They need to play with a certain rhythm, with a certain style, which quite honestly, I'll tell you what, before anyone else is holding Dak Prescott back, if you want to really put it on anyone who's holding Dak Prescott back, the coaching staff is holding Dak Prescott back. When you have a football game, look, you're putting unreasonable expectations on this guy.
I said this in my last video. I'm for him to get his money. That's why I say it's a new voice need to be in there. I just feel like the coaches is holding him back. It could be a situation that can stop putting him in and let him succeed. It's about keeping the football on the ground, by handing it off to Ezekiel Elliott, so you have to worry about putting so much pressure on him. That's what you pay Ezekiel Elliott for, is to be the team focal point. Dak is the franchise quarterback, but when you go away from something that's work, like you hand the football to Ezekiel Elliott, and you see the difference when Dak Prescott know he ain't got to do so much, but a little. But when you put everything on his shoulder, now he got to force everything, and they put him in bad situations. And I feel like the coaching staff is holding mostly all these players back, especially him. They put him in harm's way. When something is working and they go away from it, like they run the ball like 5 times and get good yards and then go away from it and then put it all on Dak's shoulders. I'm all for him to get his money. He deserved it because he did put up the numbers this year to say he deserved that money. It's just the coaching staff is holding this man back.
On a game like yesterday, when you're talking about we have a running game that has right now, coming out of the gates, it is chewing up this defense, and yet we go away from it and put it on Dak Prescott. What you're doing is you're killing your own quarterback. You're lowering your own quarterback's value. You're lowering your own quarterback's ability to negotiate with you because you know it's not going to put him in the right light. It's not going to allow him to shine. Is he worth Carson Wentz money? Statistically, is he as good as Carson, as good as Jared, as good as Matt Ryan, as good as Matthew Stafford? Could he compete with these kind of guys? As long as he has the right supporting cast, of course he can.
What are we talking about here, though?
Because
Stephen A., that doesn't make sense to me. When you say they don't want him to reset the market, Carson Wentz and Jared Goff basically are getting paid more or less the same. Like, if you beat them, it's going to be the reason I didn't.
No, I was only going by the story. In other words, you remember when we did the show and they were talking about how Dak Prescott wanted $40 million?
Yeah, he turned down a deal reportedly for $30 million a year. We didn't know the guaranteed money.
Is ridiculous. He was never going to get
that. You know how it's next man up, no matter what?
Well,
I think they don't want it to be next man up regardless.
That's
they
what
think
I'm
it's
saying.
ridiculous.
That would be a league thing, not a Cowboy. Listen, the reason I thought they shouldn't pay him at the beginning of the year is if he was going to reset the market, it'd be by $1. But if he started to backslide where you don't really have to pay him as much yet, you could save $10 million, right? Or something like that. So the Cowboys played it smart here. But I don't understand the idea that they don't want to reset the market with Dak. That just put...
The market's not going to come down for quarterbacks. It's going to keep rising. You can't wait on the market to go down. It ain't doing nothing but going up every year. Is Dak is your guy, you will pay him. You will not be hesitant. And they been hesitant. Y'all put him in these awkward situations and he come up short because the position y'all putting him in. Y'all want to set the market with him. But at the same time, the market is not getting smaller. It's getting bigger every year. At some point, you're going to give him his money. And it's up to the coaching staff. Stop going away from something that's working. If you have the run game working and it's chewing up the defense, it made that job much easier. But they always put him in these awkward situations.
Pressure on the next team to pay more for their quarterback. It doesn't really cost them anything if they give him Carson Wentz money or $1 more.
Yeah, but you're being too literal with it. What I'm saying to you is that we did a show where it was reported that the Dallas Cowboys would not want to set the market with Dak Prescott. That's all I'm saying.
Said the same thing with Ezekiel Elliott, and then they went out and set the market.
I'm just saying that we did the show. That's all I'm alluding to.
There's resetting the market, and then there's blowing the top of the market out of the water. They don't want to do that, nor should they. They have no reason to.
If someone blows the top of the market out of the water for Dak Prescott, they deserve what they get.
No, exactly, and they're not going to, and as you see, they're not going to.
Yeah.
The question here is, and I think Stephen A. made the point early on, this is what's important. How is Dak seeing himself? Is Dak really his own, really the one who's really stalling this contract situation to the point where it hasn't gotten done yet? Because he obviously, we all see ourselves as more times than not being more valuable than maybe we are. And I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility with him. Although the more and more they play football games and the more and more Jason Garrett and Kellen Moore called games like yesterday, the more they're going to expose him.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app.